Hello, everyone, and Madayaw! It's me, author Maita. Hmm. We are in chapter 12. This is the last chapter. But if you haven't guessed already, or if you haven't listened to my other chapters, please do. Chapter 12 is our ending chapter. It is what happens right after the climax. So I named it Denouement. Denouement means falling action. Yeah, I know. I might change the chapter name, but at the moment it stands. Anyways, what happens after that? A lot of things happen after that. Everyone who's everyone is going to be in this chapter because that's chapter 4. You're going to find out things, you're going to like a few things, and if you read the chapter before this, Gus and Rose get their happy ending. So what happens after? Oh, so they plan a wedding, they plan other things for the resort. Marcus will have the most crucial role in this because as Alpha, he needs to, I guess, reign over the resort, preside over things. And I don't know if you read my previous book, Care Package Mate, but if you did, you will find out that Marcus obtained a license. What license is that? A license to perform wedding rites and last rites. But anyways, yeah, wedding rites. He procured that for his best friend Caleb. Now he has it. So he's gonna be the presider over Gus's wedding. So yeah, they're gonna plan that wedding all in one chapter. A lot of things happen here, a lot of congratulations, a lot of that. Lizzie has to go home. What's this? Yeah, and spicy tidbits and all that. I'll leave you guys to listen or read this. Now, this is not the end. This is a work in progress, and I am bringing everyone into my writing progress, of course. And by the time you are listening to this, things have changed already because it's really different when you're writing it and rereading and reading it and rereading it some more versus when I'm listening to the pacing, because how I read it is kind of what I hear in my head. Now, when I'm saying it out loud, might be a little different. Maybe I should have asked somebody else to read this for me. It would really help me. But as I'm doing this, I would see where I'm quite redundant. I'd see where I'm missing some things. And I do go over these. I listen to myself over and over again, just so it's like, the scene's not working quite as much, or it's too much typos here. As you can listen to my other chapters, you hear me typing away in my keyboard because there are typos and I was correcting them. Yeah, so I'm hoping that this goes to a big publisher. If not, it's going straight to my Amazon store after the editors go through with it. So I hope you guys enjoy this because I do enjoy Gus and Rose's story. They were characters that I didn't expect. They just really jumped right out of me. Even when I was writing Caleb's book, Argus just popped out, like out of nowhere popped out. And then a few months later, actually no, after that, he was just in my head. Not like talking to me or anything, but you know, when you are daydreaming and then you have a scene planned out for them, it's like, and then Gus would be doing this because he's doing that because he likes doing this and he's making that. So he's just opened the club called the Dungeon, and you know, so things progress that way. And who's this leading lady of his? And you're like, she looks like this and she's gonna be this. I have picture pegs on my head, which is a little different from what I've been printing because I have a collage board and stuff. That's how I write. My writing process is A, non-linear, B, tactile. I have so many written notes, handwritten notes, and so many collages, and it has to be like a physical collage. Otherwise, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like it. And I'm so very happy to bring you in this writing process because I really enjoy writing. It is really my form of release. So I hope you guys enjoy this because I did enjoy it too. So here we go, chapter 12. Chapter 12 of Big Bad Wolf Meets His Big Beautiful Mate. Now this is the last chapter, so I hope you'll enjoy. Chapter 12, Denuma. Marcus! Rafe charged Marcus, changing forms mid-stride. Marcus knew this day was coming. He changed form and met Rafe halfway. They collided mid-air, but Marcus had the advantage since his wolf was bigger and bulkier than Rafe's sleek wolf. But Marcus knew he shouldn't be complacent. Rafe's wolf was smaller, thinner, but faster. He wouldn't put past the pup to be sneaky. He fought tooth and nail to get out of his father's grip to join his Aunt Vivian. He'd have to fight a dozen or so legenda wolves to be free. Marcus barely avoided Rafe's teeth. The pup was indeed fast and sneaky. Marcus' recourse was in brute strength. A few blows to the pup will knock some sense into him. Security team were already down in the plaza. They were cording off the guests who were watching the fight. Phone cameras were pointed in their direction. It wasn't every day that a fight broke out in public. Normally, if there was a challenger, Marcus took them to basement 6 or one of the empty parking levels. Rafe charged him in public. The pup was always impulsive and such a hothead. He saw Caleb and his pack act as witness. They stood in the sidelines and watched in silence, also making sure the gathering crowd doesn't interfere. Rafe tried to bite, but Marcus swung his body, hitting Rafe and sending him a few feet off the air, tumbling down, but he stood up and was ready for more. The moment he charged Marcus, Marcus changed tactics. Put a comma here. He transformed to his half form so he had arms. With a flick of his wrist, he sent Rafe flying once more. Stay down, pup. Rafe transformed his human form. The crowd went wild. Rafe was handsome, and a naked Rafe was enough to make anyone swoon, but the pup was oblivious to the crowd. You sneaky bastard! Lizzie is mine! Business is business, Red Moon. Lizzie wants to work with me. You've kept her in that kitchen of yours. You didn't see how much potential she had, Marcus retorted. Rafe transformed and charged once more. Marcus held his ground, ready to send the pup flying some more. Stop! Lizzie rushed in between the two combating wolves. Stop, please! Both wolves stopped and turned human. Caleb tossed them a robe each. They took it and wore them because the crowd refused to leave. Apparently, as much as the fight drew a crowd, naked hunks made them rabid. Lizzie is shooting a series with wolves, Marcus said. He was already raking in the money from the number of views. Lizzie had her own series, but she also had a series she shot for Wolves Resort. Rafe roared, Lizzie! We were supposed to launch a series together. Lizzie shrugged. I didn't like the direction you were heading. You attract an older crowd, Rafe. I target a younger, whiter set of audience. You'd rather work for Marcus than me? Lizzie sighed. I work with Marcus to shoot 2 series and a season each. I have a new project now. What? Both Marcus and Rafe were confused. She signed a contract with me. A voice sang through the crowd. Marcus's fur bristled. They always bristled that way when he came near another alpha, especially if that alpha had so much power. Why did you bring her here? She had no leave to enter my territory. Marcus snarled. Vivian Redmoon sauntered in, leaning heavily on Daria. Is that any way to treat a paying guest? Rafe simply brought me along to make sure I rested and recuperated. Marcus could see right through her. She didn't need to use Daria as a crutch. She just wanted to create drama. Lizzie, I told you not to sign your soul over to the devil. Rafe's face was pained. Really, Rafe? Vivian pouted. I'll make sure to turn Lizzie into the star that she is. You two amateurs don't know what you're doing. She turned to Marcus and eyed his body, although you seem to learn quick. Marcus snarled. I challenge you for Lizzie's contract. He was ready to disrobe and take on Vivian any day. Vivian might prove to be challenging, but Marcus would never treat her as anything other than another alpha battling for a contract or a piece of territory. Stop! All of you, stop! Lizzie is my ward. She can't sign contracts yet. Daria stepped in between all three of them. She's going to finish her studies before I decide what she can or can't do. This will all stop. Lizzie was about to protest, but a look from Daria silenced her. Vivian smiled at her. No worries, love. Your contract will be waiting next year. You have an open invitation to join Red Moon Roaring Studios. I should have left you at that hospital bed. You weren't on death's door. You were signing contracts behind my back. Business is business, pup. Did you forget we were a business pack? Lizzie ran back to her unit upstairs. Daria sighed and followed her. Rafe soon followed. Hello, Marcus. It's been a long while. Vivian smiled. Not long enough, Viv, Marcus grunted. Ryan will get you a room for the night, and a van will take you all to Darius tomorrow. Always so dramatic, Marcus. Let's not fight. We can do business together. Content marketing and blogs are all the rage. I saw your little production with Lizzie. It had potential. Marcus knew better than to go into business with her. She was ruthless and devious. You know, one day the pup will break free. He was referring to Rafe. I know. He's the opposite of his parents. In the meantime, he's not breaking free because he still loves the camera. The pup will be far greater than either of us, she said. But not for some decades more. Rafe is such a late bloomer. I'll milk him dry before that time comes. Ryan came and escorted Vivian to the water park hotel instead of the Simeon. Marcus didn't like her near him. You could have taken that bitch on. If you're too chicken shit, Marcus, I could fight her for you. Language, Laika. I have kids now. Lycana Urbane was tall as Gus, but not muscular. She was fit, but not bulky. Many underestimated her size until she put them in her place. Where's that brother of mine? Laika was not originally part of Marcus's core members. She came in 2 decades after he established the Urbane Pact. Gus was one of his original members, along with Force and 7 others. They blundered into business, but Marcus had the advantage of style and brute force. He fended off challenges, defended his business, and learned along the way. Laika was already a loner, having left her pack decades earlier than Gus. She visited Gus one day and commented on how Marcus could do things more efficiently. When Marcus told her she could do a better job if she could join the pack, she wiped the floor with him and joined the pack. Although Marcus had all the ideas, Laika had the affinity for numbers, running systems efficiently, and effective resource management. Gus is enjoying his new mate. I doubt if you'd see him for a few days. Marcus tied the robe securely around himself. He looked down at the remnants of his suit. It was his favorite pair. By the way, how were you able to fly in? I flew a plane. He frowned. When did you get a pilot's license? When I bought a plane. It was locked down. What else was there to do? I studied flying a helicopter, so I have a license for that. But then I wanted to see what's keeping you here, so I decided to fly here. To do that, I needed a license to fly a plane. Nice. She was efficient that way. As you can see, I haven't bled the place dry. Amidst the pandemic, we're still afloat, and I haven't pulled money from the other branches. I know. I peeked into the books. I'm impressed. How very like Laika to have already gone through his books. Great. Go chill in the pool. I'll see you in the cavern for dinner. I'll introduce you to the newbies by then. I hope that brother of mine would join us. Nobody told me he was swooning for anyone. It was a whirlwind romance. Really? And what's this portal from hell business? It's been sorted. You can drag your baby brother out of bed if he doesn't show, but I think the pup deserves a good rest. The dungeon's opening was a success and the place looks good. Under budgeted, delayed, but quite a good turn-up. Be nice. It's not his fault. It's a pandemic. His next project is the aquarium in the docks. We might have to delay Australia for a few years in light of what's happened. Yes, we should. We wouldn't want to seem insensitive. See you later then. Dinner was at 7. At least he knew it was supposed to be at 7. Marcus sent him a message. He and Rose started to get ready, but he got frisky in the shower. They didn't come down until 9, but that was alright. Most wolves ate until late in the night. He heard about Marcus kicking Rafe's ass, and that called for a celebration. Gus and Rose entered the cavern hand in hand. Everyone cheered the moment they entered. He held Rose's hands and swung them upward so everyone could see. He had to run to the jewelry store and got her a ring. She refused such a big diamond. A modest cubic zirconia surrounded by rose quartz was all she chose. Then they went back to the room, made love some more. He never felt like this before. Even his previous girlfriends didn't seem to excite this aspect of himself. He can't seem to wipe the smile off his face. When he sat Rose down and took a seat beside her, Rick served him up a plate of prime ribs. Congratulations, Gus. You need to keep up your proteins. Rose blushed at the implications. Gus shooed him away. Don't mind Rick. He likes to tease me because I used to tease him. One by one his packmates came to their table and congratulated them. Not that he needed any more congratulations. His packmates have been showing their support. He was happy that Rose was very welcome. The Urbane pack might seem to always be about business, but deep down, they were a big and warm family. I didn't get an invitation to the wedding? Gus perked up. He knew that voice anywhere. He got up and turned around to find Laika rushing at him. She liked to catch him unaware. He dodged and scooped her up, bear hug style. Put me down, Argus, she struggled. Once upon a time she bested him, but no longer. Gus made sure he trained long and hard. Laika, when did you get here? He was surprised she got her here at all. Just when Marcus was sending Ray flying. Man, that shit show is trending. We're so packed, full of guests, the city's threatening to close us down. He let her go. Laika, meet my maid Rosella. Rose smiled. Hi, should I call you sister? Is that a werewolf custom? Just Laika would do, she said. I heard you read cards. I'll read for you if you want, Rose offered. Gus stepped in between them. No, not tonight. Tomorrow. You know what? Next week. Next week would be great. We'll be busy. Very busy. Yeah, they're making baby Stella and baby Nina tonight, Stella shouted from across the room. She giggled when she realized she was being boisterous. In all her life, her family silenced her, eroded her confidence. Now she was blooming and very happy. Rose blushed. Yeah, maybe not yet. So when's the wedding? Laika, like most wolves, loved to celebrate. It wasn't often she got to go out and let loose. Now that you're here, tomorrow, her big mate said. Gus, I don't have anything to wear yet, Rose protested. Nina went to ease the tension before the bride freaked out. Slow down, Argus Urbane. Weddings take time. For one thing, the place should have a solemn significance. Well, I'm not much into churches, Rose admitted. She hardly went to church, a point of contention between her and her family. How about the docks? Gus suggested. Rose smiled. It was the first time she kissed Gus on the lips. Yes, the docks would be perfect. Nina hugged her. Stella and I will make sure you have the perfect dress. You are the best fairy godmothers ever, and fate has a surprise waiting for you, Rose whispered. She put her fingers to her lips. Don't jinx it. Let it happen when it happens. Nina giggled and hugged her some more. I wonder if Lizzie can stay or come back for the wedding. If Rafe doesn't let her come make your cheesecake, I'll make sure to send him flying, Gus offered. Anything you need from her? Yes, I'd like her to be my bridesmaid and make my wedding cake. Rose eyed the dessert bar. Gus clapped his hands. I love that you're proposing. A wedding cheesecake is perfect. Let's go talk to Lizzie. First thing in the morning before their van arrives. The next day. I owe you my life. If it weren't for your cheesecake, I would have been taken by that demon, Rose said. People have been talking about the demon summoning at the night of the opening of the dungeon. Really? They've worked so hard on the series on food that countered curses. Their pilot episode was a hit. The rest of the episode would be released one a week in succession on YouTube and on the Wolves Resort website. Marcus had built a content division that gave free content on the apps by Wolves, also available to watch in all their hotel rooms. Really? I'd like to do a reading for you and ask you a favor as well. Lizzie had become a close friend to her as they planned and filmed the series. Sadly, her time at Wolves had come to an end. They sat in the dining room of the room Marcus had lent her. Rafe and Daria decided to stay with her. Aunt Vivian, on the other hand, was sent to the water park. Marcus didn't like another alpha nearby. Most alphas who stayed at Wolves usually wrote Marcus a letter first. They didn't surprise the Urbane Pack's alpha this way. Rose took out her oracle deck and let Lizzie shuffle the deck. She drew a card. The brick path. You'll be free. You'll be successful. But it will take time and hard work. How long and how much work? Lizzie held the card, looking at the image there. Rose noticed her eyes were better today. She saw through the cards and through Lizzie's aura. It won't be easy, and it won't even be in a year or two. But if you don't work hard, you'll never get what you want. A big opportunity will come to you in 3 years. If you miss it, it'll take 10 years before you get another opportunity. Is it Aunt Viv? Rose shook her head. No, this comes from much further abroad. It isn't here yet, but you'll need to watch out for it. I'll be ready. Should you seize this opportunity, you'll have to leave everything you know behind. That was the sad reality of change. Lizzie looked towards the door where Daria and Rafe slept. She loved them, even when she felt stifled. I'll be ready. Good. Now I would be so happy if you'd make tons of your cleansing cheesecakes for my wedding. I'd do it for you, she hugged Rose. You'll be one of my bridesmaids too, won't you? Lizzie nodded. She was Daria's bridesmaid too, but to be Rose's bridesmaid was something unexpected. Around noontime, the van arrived. Lizzie left with Rafe, Daria, and Vivian for Laguna. The bride walked the length of the docks to her groom. Although they were technically married in werewolf law, she wanted it to be official. Marcus and Nita wanted to be official as well. Rose wore a corseted top with a mermaid-style skirt. It had all-over lace with a rose pattern. Stella had worked with a local designer to bring this dress to life. She had no veil but a single red rose on her hair. Gus was tearing up when she marched up the makeshift aisle. He made sure the docks and the boardwalk were immaculate. It was beautiful. The timber docks were even and inviting to stroll in. There were picnic benches which were now arranged to make their aisle. After the wedding, the maintenance crew would put them back in their designated places. Even the staff of Wolves were happy to see the couple come together. They never forgot how kind Rose was, nor how dedicated Gus had been. Marcus allowed them to attend the ceremony as long as it was not their shift. Good old Alpha and his trusted assistant Ryan, the two of them had made sure to order enough food for the occasion. Gus and the maintenance crew took care of the decorations. Rose insisted they had a green wedding. Decorations should be recyclable, or biodegradable. Balloons and buntings were out. Caleb and Stella made sure that there were a lot of flowers all around the docks. Stella included herbs along with flowers. So between the sea air, flowers, and herbs, the dock smelled so heavenly. The reception would be in the water park. The pool would be exclusively theirs for the day. Dinner for the pack would be in the cavern. Then they'd drink at the Needlepoint bar around midnight. Leah and Nina's children were the flower girls and ring bearer. Only Nina's 1-year-old was not with them. Marcus Jr. was happily bouncing with his mom, being too young to walk on his own. Lizzie was her only bridesmaid. Although Nina and Stella were official matrons of honor, they opted not to march. They wore matching green, gold, and pink satin gowns like the rest of the entourage. The children happily marched down the aisle in their new matching outfit, heralding Rose's solitary march. "Hi," Rose said when she finally reached his side. She walked alone in the aisle. He hated that her parents abandoned her. Her only relatives were her aunt and her grandmother. They sat in the front, but were mostly quiet the whole time since they arrived at Wolves. Clearly, they didn't approve of what Rose did, but are happy that she was settled in life. She had to explain to them what happened to Elzo. They were happy Elzo no longer darkened her door. "Hello, Starshine," Gus answered. At the end of the boardwalk was their makeshift altar, with Marcus presiding over the wedding. Beside the groom was his best man. Brutus was his best man. He was assigned in the Macau branch. Somehow he was able to get here for the wedding. According to his best friend, he swam to Hong Kong, took a less than legal pump boat to Taiwan, then flew here from there. There were small paper bags for everyone waiting on top of their seats. Inside the bag were goodies as her token of appreciation. It contained a specialty-made chocolate bar with cleansing property. The chocolate was made by Lizzie. It also included 2 sealed envelopes labeled Immediate Future and Obstacle. Once opened, each envelope would reveal an oracle card. These oracle cards were specially made by Rose. Nina and Stella convinced her to finish creating her special oracle deck. Rose painted 36 designs in total. With Marcus' contact, they had the cards printed and mass-produced. She was going to sell these in her tent. Marcus said he'd allow her to expand to selling charms, cards, and other merchandise. Gus offered to create a replica of a gypsy caravan where she can host her private readings. Her tent would become her new store. For now, everyone received 2 cards. Fate would decide which card they received. Laika was strangely absent in the preparation. Then again, she wasn't really needed. Everyone had their task already set. Gus knew she was inspecting everything in the resort. She was thorough that way. Force told him she was at the dungeon every night, enjoying the amenities there. Sometimes she would walk to the boardwalk. If not, she was in accounting, looking at the numbers. Gus would be forever grateful for his family. They were always there for him, and they even put up with his tantrums. He loved the Urbane pack, but he was envious of those who had mates. Now he had Rose. Rose was his. Although she gave herself freely to the pack, even to the employees of Wolves, at the end of the day, she came home to his unit, and she was his. He didn't ever mind when she wanted to redecorate. The reception would be poolside. A large spread was prepared. The beautiful display was decorated by the F&B team. It could rival the Cavern's legendary buffet. Rick, their head of F&B, made sure food was everything Gus loved. Rose didn't have much preference. Every food from Wolves tasted so good to her. Rick made sure there was a variety to choose from. Gus loved eating good food, and he made sure she tried every restaurant Wolves had to offer. But there were some nights she wanted a quiet dinner. Rose wasn't much of a cook. She just knew how to cook instant noodles and heat up canned goods. Gus was happy to cook in those occasions. He also wanted to show off his cooking prowess for his mate. One night, Laika dropped by. The 3 of them had dinner in his suite. She and Rose bonded and were fast friends. "Do you, Argus Urbane, take Rosella Silvio as your lawfully wedded wife?" Gus all but shouted his yes to Marcus's face. Marcus, since having procured a Legenda license for Caleb's mating, used it fully. Anyone who wanted to get married, he was there. Today he was officiating for Gus and Rose. "Do you, Rosella Silvio, take Gus Argus Urbane to be your lawfully wedded husband?" "Yes," she answered softly. "By the power vested in me by the great guardian David and the great city of Legenda, I now proclaim you as wolf and wife. You may kiss the bride." There was much cheering when Gus kissed Rose. Everyone threw rice and petals to the happy couple. A photographer snapped away. He took official photos of the couple, the pack, and everything else. Gus carried Rose from aisle to the docks all the way to the water park. It was a 10-minute walk, but it was nothing to Gus. Rose had a little change of costume when she reached the water park. Her skirt was detachable and so was her corset. Underneath was a cream swimsuit topped with stretch lace. Her makeup was waterproof so she could have fun without ruining her mascara. Marcus arranged for entertainment in the pool itself. There would be dancers and singers just for the occasion. Everything was perfect, Gus smiled. His stars seemed to align with Rose. As the happy couple had fun, Laika sat in the corner of the vast pool. The water park at Wolves was a large swimming pool. It was the size of a football field. It had 3 slides, 5 fountains, and a lot of fun decors all around. The pool also had seawater instead of fresh water. This was Marcus's idea of being eco-friendly. They pumped in water from the bay, filtered it, and put it in the pool. Marcus hired a group of performers who were also going to be the main entertainer when the aquarium was up. Entertainers. When the aquarium was all set up. They weren't all bad. They had good voice and can dance in and out of the water. Things were slowing down now. Everyone's probably sunburned. She was getting sunburned. Even at the shaded part of the pool. Laika sighed and gulped down her pina colada. She tried to get up but failed. Dehydration, sun plus alcohol was not a good combo. If only she could call that brother of hers, or maybe Marcus. Easy ka lang, said a soft voice that held her. A cold water bottle was pressed to her face. The stranger unscrewed the bottle and made her drink the fresh, crisp water. 5 minutes later, she was fine. Thanks. She looked up to see a chest so long, the column of his neck and his face. He looked down to connect his piercing blue eyes to her golden ones. Strange. How can a brown man with strong Malay looks have such sapphire blue eyes? I'm not exactly human, he said. Did I say that out loud? He smiled, revealing very pearly white teeth. He didn't have fangs, but his teeth didn't altogether look human. She figured he would be a good playmate for her tonight. It was depressing to be around all this happiness. Let's go downstairs. The Turkish bath has a hot tub and a bar. Are you up for more heat? With you? Yes. The end. Thanks, guys, for listening. That is the end of chapter 12, and it's the end of my novel. Now, it's not a goodbye yet. Don't worry. You can grab this book in a couple months after the editors are done. It's gonna be in my Amazon store unless an agent picks it up. All right. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. I really enjoyed writing it. And I like this process. I'm doing it this way. I mean, I've recorded myself in the past when I'm doing my stories, but I've never posted them. So this is actually the first time I'm posting the whole thing. If you look into my video list, I have been posting little tidbits here and there. But yeah, this is the first time where from start to finish. This isn't quite finished. Maybe by the time you're listening to this, it is nearly there. Then it goes to the editor. So there is a long process to this, and I'm glad I was able to take you guys here because I really do enjoy writing. This is my form of release, and I hope to take you guys on the next adventure. So the who's who. Marcus is gonna get his own book. And if you haven't guessed already, Laika's gonna get her own book. So I have a secret who Laika's gonna end up with. Anyway, so yeah, those are one of the characters who just popped in. I was just writing. It was midnight, that I could remember. Midnight when I was writing Laika's part. And then suddenly, oh, who's this dude? So yeah, hers will be meshed in with lots of lore, Philippine lore. And yeah. So I like mixing it up. So you have something very Western, which is werewolves, and then you have something very Eastern, like this very Malay-looking dude, very brown, long Malay-looking dude. I'm gonna picture him with long hair, long black flowing locks hair, but he has the bluest of eyes, like sapphire blue weird. Because there is a myth here down south where there are certain people, dark-skinned people, but they have very piercing blue eyes. They say they have mermaid's blood in them. So that gives you a clue. Mermaids and water. I thought mermaids were taking to the air, and so are werewolves. But anyways, that's for another story. And I'm glad I was able to take you in Gus's book. I'm going to try to do readings of my future and past books, especially if people have an interest. Because otherwise, I would be recording myself, but I don't post it. It's just for really me to listen to. Because, yeah, I'm glad I was able to take you guys on this process with me, and I hope you enjoyed them. Please follow me in my social media accounts, and I'll see you guys soon. Madayaw, everyone!